This program contains no commercials. It will run this evening without interruption. That is by design. Some stories are too large for a station break, and tonight is one of them. My name is Mark Ford. You are listening to WRZF, and this is a special broadcast. At 34 minutes past 7 o'clock yesterday morning, the ground beneath Western Colombia opened and shook for 4 minutes. 4 minutes. If you have never lived through an earthquake, that number may not register. So let me give it to you another way. Take the longest 4 minutes of your life, the ones where you are watching something, waiting for news, sitting beside someone in a hospital. Multiply that by the weight of a concrete building and everything inside it, and you are somewhere close to what 224 people felt in the last moments of their lives. 224 dead. The number will be higher by this time tomorrow. Sadly, this number includes children under 6 years old. This number will climb. This broadcast is dedicated to the people under the rubble who did not make it out, to the people still searching for them, and to every Colombian listening anywhere in this hemisphere tonight who picked up a phone or turned on a radio because they needed to hear a voice that understood what they were looking at. I hear you. We are here. I am here for you. Let's get the facts down, and then let's get out of the facts, because facts alone will not carry you through this. Monday, August 10th, 2026, 7:34 in the morning, local Colombian time. A magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck the western part of the country. The epicenter was approximately 3 miles east of San José del Palmar, a town of around 5,000 people in the Chocó region, roughly 100 kilometers northwest of Pereira, deep in rural backcountry where the roads already thin out before you factor in a disaster. The depth of the quake was between 96 and 107 kilometers underground. That depth matters. A shallow earthquake tears up the surface directly above it. A deep one sends its energy traveling wider, farther, longer. The shaking was felt across Colombia's western and central regions, in Panama to the north and Ecuador to the south. Buildings swayed in Bogota, 400 kilometers away. People ran into the streets in the capital. In Bogota, the damage was relatively minor. In Pereira, Cali, Manizales, Armenia, and Quibdó, the story was something else entirely. The Servicio Geológico Colombiano, Colombia's geological service, confirmed what every seismologist in the region immediately understood. This was the strongest earthquake recorded in Colombia in the 21st century, the strongest since 1979, a 4-minute event. 47 aftershocks have followed, and authorities have warned there will be more. President Abelardo de la Espriella, who had been in office for exactly 3 days when the ground moved, declared a national state of emergency by midday Monday. He deployed his cabinet to the affected regions, established unified command posts in Bogota, Quibdó, Cali, and Armenia, and pledged to personally lead the response. He also called on Colombians across every political line to put those lines down. Today, all Colombians, he said, must unite around a single cause: the victims of this natural disaster. Here is what we know about the scale of it as of this broadcast. At least 224 people confirmed dead, according to the Colombian Association of Capital Cities, ASOCapitales, as of Tuesday afternoon. More than 500 injured, 1,500 residential buildings damaged by the president's count. The United Nations estimates that roughly 5,000 homes have been damaged or destroyed outright. 7 airports suspended operations. Power, water, telecommunications interrupted across multiple municipalities, and rescue crews as of Tuesday morning had still not reached the area around the epicenter. San José del Palmar and the surrounding Chocó backcountry remain largely unassessed. The numbers you just heard are the numbers from the cities, the numbers from the places no one has reached yet. We do not know them. I want to take you into each of these cities for a moment, not with statistics, with weight. Pereira. Pereira is the capital of the Risaralda department, a city of 600,000 in the heart of Colombia's coffee region, set in a valley between Andean ridges. It is a commercial hub, a university city, a place where people come from surrounding towns to work, to study, to build something. It is also the city that absorbed the most concentrated death toll from Monday's quake. 40 or more confirmed fatalities in Risaralda alone, concentrated in Pereira. A 4-story building came down in the city, not leaning, not damaged, but down, according to verified video footage. People were in it. Rescue teams worked through the rubble by hand. The mayor was on Caracol radio within hours telling the country what he was looking at. Pereira knows what this weight feels like. The entire coffee region carries the memory of January 1999, when an earthquake near Armenia killed nearly 1,200 people, the worst seismic disaster Colombia had seen in generations. That was 27 years ago, and the people who survived it are now the grandparents watching their grandchildren, and Monday morning brought it all back. The way the walls move, the way the air fills with dust, the way silence comes after the roar. Cali. Cali is Colombia's third largest city, the cultural capital of the Pacific Coast, home to over 2 million people, famous for its music, its salsa, the Petronio Alvarez Festival that was scheduled for this weekend. That festival is not happening. Cali was badly hit. A curfew was imposed. Military presence was ordered in neighborhoods where rescue operations were still active under the rubble. At least 27 confirmed deaths in the Valle del Cauca department, 700 people injured across the department, neighborhoods with collapsed buildings, debris on ambulances, emergency services working through the night, and Cali's hospitals. I need to stay here for a moment because this is one of the hardest details in this entire story. The pediatric wing of a hospital in Cali collapsed. The neonatal ward, the place where sick children go, where newborn infants in incubators are watched through the night by nurses who take that watch personally, that structure came down. Nurses carried newborns out of the collapsing ward in their arms. They ran with babies. That is not an embellishment. That is what happened in Cali on Monday morning. Multiple hospitals across the city sustained serious damage. A city of 2 million people with its medical infrastructure fractured, absorbing hundreds of crush and trauma injuries at once. Manizales is a city of around 400,000, the capital of the Caldas department, built on steep Andean slopes, a city of distinctive architecture, deep Catholic tradition, a university that draws students from across the region. The tower of the Manizales Cathedral came down Monday morning, the neo-Gothic cathedral that has defined that city's skyline for generations. One of its towers fell into the street, scattering stone and debris across the pavement below. 2 confirmed deaths in Manizales, with Red Cross volunteers deployed from the Caldas section working search and rescue in the worst affected zones. The cathedral tower is a symbol, yes, but symbols matter to people. When the landmark of your city falls, something else falls with it, something harder to rebuild than stone. Armenia. Armenia is the capital of Quibdó, a city of 300,000 at the center of the Coffee Triangle, 30 kilometers from Pereira, close enough that what hits one tends to hit the other. Armenia is also the city that was nearly destroyed in the 1999 earthquake, the one that killed 1,200 people, the one that took years to rebuild, the city that 27 years later was still in the process of making itself whole. Red Cross volunteers from Quibdó were deployed Monday morning, setting up field tents to expand medical capacity at hospitals reporting structural damage. The trauma here is not only physical, it is layered. It is the trauma of a city that already rebuilt itself once from the ground up, now watching the walls shake again. Quibdó and the Chocó. Quibdó is the capital of Chocó, the department at the epicenter of this earthquake. A city of around 120,000, one of the most Afro-Colombian cities in the country, set deep in one of the most biodiverse and geographically isolated regions of South America. The governor of Chocó reported injuries and serious structural damage across the department within hours of the quake. 30 search and rescue specialists from Antioquia were dispatched toward Quibdó. A water treatment plant capable of processing 30,000 liters is being pre-positioned in Istmina because the aqueducts are broken and the drinking water situation is already critical, and the area around the actual epicenter, the rural zones around San José del Palmar, remains, as of this broadcast, largely unreached. The roads are damaged, access is difficult. The estimates we have are the estimates from the cities. What the backcountry looks like, we do not fully know. I want to say one more thing about Chocó because it is easy to move past it in a list of cities and statistics, and I do not want to move past it. Chocó is a department that has carried enormous weight for a very long time. Poverty, isolation, underinvestment, a history of conflict that left scars that have not fully healed. It is also a department of extraordinary human resilience, of communities that have built lives and traditions and families in some of the most challenging terrain in the Americas. Monday's earthquake hit these people with the added weight of all of that, with infrastructure already stretched, with institutions already strained. The response teams are going, the Red Cross is going, but the people of Chocó deserve more than a footnote in this story. They are the story. I told you at the top of this broadcast that we were going to leave the seismology behind and spend our time with the people. The geology explains what happened. It does not explain what it cost. Somewhere in Pereira tonight, there is a woman listening to concrete. That is not a metaphor. That is what search and rescue teaches you to do. You listen for tapping. A person trapped under rubble who still has the strength to tap on a pipe is a person who is still alive. And when you know someone is under there, you press your ear to the slab and you listen. She has been there since Monday morning, and it is now Tuesday night, and she has not left because the moment she cannot hear the tapping is the moment she will know something she cannot unknow. There is a child somewhere in the Chocó backcountry whose house is not a house anymore. He is alive. He walked out with his mother. They are sleeping under something that is not their roof, and he is asking her a question she cannot answer, which is when they are going home. There are nurses in Cali, real nurses, real women and men, their names are in the patient records of that hospital, who ran down corridors carrying infants in their arms while the ceiling came apart above them. They did not stop to think about it. They ran because there was a baby in their arms, and they were not going to put it down. They will think about it later, probably for the rest of their lives, and what they did will not feel heroic to them. Some of them did not make it. There are neighbors in Manizales who formed human chains in the dark, passing rubble from hand to hand to reach someone they could hear but not yet see. Not rescue professionals, neighbors. People who walked out of their own damaged homes and immediately walked towards someone else's. There are coffee growers, families who have worked the same plot for 2 and 3 generations in Pereira, in Armenia, in the smaller municipalities of Risaralda and Quibdó, who are standing in front of 40 years of work and trying to calculate what is recoverable and what is not. The coffee itself may be fine, the processing infrastructure, the storage, the equipment, that is a harder question. And for families whose entire livelihood and identity is tied to that land, it is a harder question than any number. There are doctors in Cali working a trauma load that would test any hospital system on its best day, with their own building damaged, with power coming and going, with the same aftershock anxiety that everyone else in the city has, except they cannot go stand in an open space because there are patients who cannot move. There are children in Armenia whose school is closed and who do not fully understand why, but who understand more than adults think they understand. They understand that things fell. They understand that their parents are scared. They understand that the world, which was supposed to hold still, did not hold still. That is something you carry for a long time. And somewhere in the Chocó jungle, in a town that nobody from the capital has reached yet, there are people who shook for 4 minutes on Monday morning and then did what people do. They checked on their neighbors, they cleared what they could clear, they looked after whoever needed looking after, and they have been waiting ever since for someone to come and tell them the rest of the country knows they are there. The rest of the country knows, the world knows, and the people of Colombia in the affected regions are not waiting passively. They are acting, they are searching, they are forming those human chains and listening to that concrete and carrying whatever needs to be carried. The spirit that was alive in this country before Monday morning did not go anywhere. It absorbed the blow and it kept moving. That is what Colombia has always done, and it is what Colombia is doing right now. Let me tell you what is happening on the ground and what still needs to happen. The Colombian Red Cross, Cruz Roja Colombiana, activated its national crisis room within hours of the quake. Teams are deployed from multiple sections across the country. Search and rescue specialists from Antioquia headed to Chocó. Volunteers from Caldas working in Manizales. Red Cross personnel from Quibdó in Armenia, with medical tents supplementing damaged hospital infrastructure. 70 volunteers and 5 canine search teams dispatched from Bogota to the most affected departments. A generator sent to the hospital in Dos Quebradas in Risaralda. A water treatment plant being positioned in Ismina in Chocó. The Cruz Roja has also opened a family tracing line. If you have lost contact with relatives in the affected areas, the number is 321-213-9525. I will say it again, 321-213-9525. That line will help locate missing persons and connect separated families. The government's National Disaster Agency, the UNGRD, the Unidad Nacional para la Gestión del Riesgo de Desastres, is coordinating the overall response with unified command posts established across the major affected cities. The president visited Chocó on Monday and traveled to Valle del Cauca. His cabinet is dispersed across the regions. International support came quickly. The United States announced $15.5 million in emergency aid for shelter, food, protection, and damage assessment. The Development Bank of Latin America pledged $500,000. Ecuador offered a specialized urban search and rescue team of 47 members with canine units. Bogota prepared 100 specialists ready to deploy wherever the federal government directs them. Hospitals are working under severe crisis conditions. The blood supply is under serious pressure because crush injuries and trauma surgeries require significant quantities of blood, and multiple hospital facilities have been compromised. There is an urgent call for blood donation across the country, specifically in cities close enough to the affected regions to transport safely. If you can donate blood, the Red Cross needs it. That is something you can do today, not next week. Today. What still needs to happen? Rescue teams must reach San José del Palmar and the surrounding rural Chocó municipalities. Those communities remain largely unassessed. Roads damaged in the quake, combined with the difficult terrain of the Chocó jungle, have slowed access. Until those communities are reached, we are working with an incomplete picture of the full toll, and when it becomes complete, it will almost certainly be worse than what we have. The 72-hour window, the period in which survival rates for people trapped under rubble remain meaningful, is now closing. Every hour matters. The teams on the ground know this. What they need is support, and that is where you come in. This segment is the reason this broadcast exists. You have been listening to me this evening, and I have asked you to stay with me through hard material. Now I am going to tell you what to do with what you are feeling, because grief without direction is just weight, and you do not have to carry it that way, and it's all I can do. People, not to break down crying and plead for help. There are exactly three categories of recipient I am going to ask you to give to tonight. 3. Not a list, not a menu, only 3. The first is the Colombian Red Cross, the Cruz Roja Colombiana. They are on the ground right now. Their teams were there within hours. Their volunteers are in the rubble. Their water treatment equipment is moving toward Chocó. When you give to the Cruz Roja Colombiana, you are giving to people who are already there, already doing the work with the infrastructure to put your money directly to use. Their website is cruzrojacolombiana.org. I will say it again, slowly, cruzrojacolombiana.org. Their national campaign is called Todo por Colombia. Todo por Colombia. Through their site, you can give by bank transfer, by DaviPlata, or by finding a physical collection point near you, cruzrojacolombiana.org. And I want to say this specifically, if you are not in a position to give money right now, give blood. A blood donation costs you nothing but 30 minutes. It is directly needed for the trauma surgeries happening right now in Cali, in Pereira, in Manizales. Call the Cruz Roja, call your local hospital, walk in and tell them you are there for Colombia. The second category is your own local Catholic parish or diocese. I know some of you listening are not Catholic, and I respect that. But the dioceses and parishes in the affected Colombian regions have the deepest roots in those communities. They know the families. They know which neighborhoods were hardest hit. They know the specific needs on the ground in a way that a national organization cannot always reach. If you walk into a church, find a priest, you can look in the eye, hand him something, and ask where it is going. You will get an answer. The Fundación Arquidiocesana Banco de Alimentos in Cali is one specific verified diocesan institution. Your own parish, if it has a Colombia relief collection, is another. The criterion is simple. You know who is holding the money and they can tell you exactly where it is going. The third category is a verified government channel. The UNGRD, the Unidad Nacional para la Gestión del Riesgo de Desastres, is the Colombian government's national disaster agency. Their site is ungrd.gov.co. Some mayor's offices and governor's offices in the affected regions have also opened official collection points. If your municipality has one, that is a legitimate channel. 3 categories. That is your list. Now, I need to say something that I ask you to take as seriously as everything else I have said tonight. Within 48 hours of any disaster, anywhere in the world, people who have never lifted a sandbag appear collecting money in the name of the dead. This is not speculation. It is documented, repeatable, predictable behavior. By tomorrow morning, there will already be GoFundMe pages with photographs of collapsed buildings in Cali. There will be WhatsApp chains with a NECWI number attached and a message that says send what you can. There will be people at intersections with a bucket and a printed photograph of rubble. There will be social media accounts that copy the Cruz Roja's profile picture and change one letter in the name. These people are stealing from Colombia. They are stealing from the dead and from the people trying to survive. They are counting on your grief to move faster than your judgment. Here is the one rule I want you to remember. Write it down if you need to. If you cannot verify who receives it, do not send it. That is the whole rule. If you cannot walk into a building, look someone in the eye, ask where your money goes, and get a direct answer. Do not send it. The Cruz Roja Colombiana exists. The UNGRD exists. Your local parish exists. Give through those. Everything else, carry your skepticism like a shield. One practical note on what the relief agencies are actually asking for. Cash is wanted. Blood is wanted. Those are the 2 things the relief infrastructure can actually use right now. What clogs the pipeline, what slows the response, what fills warehouses with things that cannot be sorted or distributed in time is unsolicited used clothing and old shoes. I know it feels like action, but the organizations on the ground in Colombia right now are asking for money and blood, not a bag of old t-shirts. Trust them, they know what they need. Let me give you those 3 channels one last time. 1. Cruz Roja Colombiana, cruzrojacolombiana.org. Campaign Todo por Colombia, Daviplata, bank transfer, or in person. Blood donation accepted at all Cruz Roja facilities. 2. Your local Catholic parish or a verified diocesan institution such as the Fundación Arquidiocesana Banco de Alimentos in Cali. Walk in, ask, give in person. 3. UNGRD, ungrd.gov.so. Or your local government's official collection point if one has been announced. 3 channels, verified, real, on the ground today. Before I close, I want to read a short announcement in Spanish for our listeners who are more comfortable hearing this in their own language. Este es un mensaje para nuestros oyentes hispanohablantes. Esta noche le pedimos que done a través de uno de 3 canales verificados. Primero, la Cruz Roja Colombiana. Su sitio web es cruzrojacolombiana.org. La campaña se llama Todo por Colombia. Puede donar por Daviplata, transferencia bancaria o en persona en su seccional más cercana. También necesitan donantes de sangre en todo el país hoy. Segundo, su parroquia o arquidiócesis local. Entre a una iglesia que conozca, hable con un sacerdote de confianza, pregunte a dónde va el dinero y entréguelo en mano. Tercero, la Unidad Nacional para la Gestión del Riesgo de Desastres, la UNGRD. Su sitio web es ungrd.gov.co. Solo estos 3, por favor, tenga mucho cuidado con las páginas de GoFundMe, los mensajes de WhatsApp con números de NECI y las cuentas en redes sociales que imitan a organizaciones reales. Si no puede verificar quién recibe su dinero, no lo envíe. Colombia necesita su ayuda real. Use los canales reales. I said at the beginning of this broadcast that I wanted to close on the living. The living in Colombia tonight are not waiting for someone to come and explain their situation back to them. They already know what they need, what every person in a disaster needs when the urgency shifts from rescue to recovery, is to know that the people outside the rubble remember, and that remembering is going to translate into something real. You can make it real in the next 10 minutes. Go to cruzrojacolombiana.org. I will say it one final time slowly. cruzrojacolombiana.org and make a donation. Any amount. Small amounts have always added up. And this organization is spending them on water treatment and rescue equipment and medical supplies in places where those things are the difference between people making it and people not making it. If you would rather give in person, call your parish tonight and ask if they have a Colombia collection open. If you can donate blood, if you are in a city with a Cruz Roja facility and you are healthy enough to give, do it tomorrow morning. Walk in, tell them why you are there, and then tell someone else, not to perform grief, not to post and feel finished. Tell one person tonight, someone in your family, someone you will see this week. Tell them about the pediatric ward in Cali and the nurses who ran. Tell them about Pereira and the 40 years of work standing in rubble. Tell them about the human chains in the dark. Tell them that Colombia is not a headline. Tell them that the people under that rubble had names and plans and children and reasons to make it through Monday morning, and that some of them did not, and that the ones who did are going to need help for a long time, not just this week, when the story is still fresh, but 6 months from now, when the cameras have moved on and the rebuilding has barely started. That is when the Cruz Roja will still need your money. That is when the Parish Relief Fund will still matter. Remember that. The ground in Western Colombia has moved. The aftershocks are still coming. The rescuers are still working. The people of Chocó are still waiting for access roads. And tonight, right now, all across the affected cities, there are Colombians doing what Colombians have always done, looking after each other with whatever they have in whatever light is available. They are not asking you to fix it. They are asking you to help. I am pleading with you. I have lived here 14 years. I understand these people. I love this country, so please, even if it's only $5, every little bit helps. CruzRojaColombiana.org, your parish, the UNGRD at ungrd.gov.co. That is your next 10 minutes. Use them well. From WRZF, I am Mark Ford. Good night. God bless you, and God bless Colombia, and thank you so much for everything you can do.